In this video, I'm gonna bust two very popular myths about the IELTS test. Hello again everyone. In May 2022, I decided to take the IELTS academic test for the very first time. Both of my previous attempts were of the general training category, and no, I'm not applying for a student visa. This was purely for experience and educational purposes. So this was a paper-based test, and this time I decided to do two things a little differently. The first change that I decided to make was to write all the reading and listening answers in lowercase, as in small letters, because we've always been told to write all these answers in capitals. But what if that's not important? And secondly, I decided to take the test in a different city to see if my speaking bands change. The last two times my speaking bands were 8.5 and 8 bands. I'm from Ludhiana. Both of my previous attempts were in Ludhiana itself, but this time I chose a lesser known city called Khanna, where the average candidate score is relatively low. So upon reaching the test center in Khanna, I talked around with the other candidates and I found that many of them, if not most of them, were not even from Khanna. Now I understand that among the blind, the one-eyed man is king, and I think that's the whole logic behind taking the IELTS test in another city. But the problem arises when everyone is one-eyed. What I'm trying to say is that I never believed that taking the test in a different city would fetch anyone better band scores, simply because the IDP and the examiners are not stupid. They are doing their job, which is to evaluate the candidates, and sometimes the examiners themselves are evaluated on whether they gave justified bands to the candidates or not. So a trained examiner would not give anyone 6 bands if they deserve less, simply because the other candidates are much worse. Anyway, I might not be the right person for this experiment. Nevertheless, I went for it. Et voila! My speaking score was 8 bands. Now this was totally expected, as it was right in line with my performance. So at least in my case, taking the test in a different city had absolutely no impact on my speaking scores. So I would suggest you don't go through this hassle. Just focus on improving your performance. That would be the best way to go. Oh, and my reading and listening answers were all in lowercase. They were all very neatly written, without any spelling mistakes, and I scored 9 bands in both of these modules. Now here's my take on this. In all the institutes that I've been to as a student and as a trainer, I think the candidates are asked to write these answers in capitals because of legibility reasons. Your answers are more likely to be legible, i.e. clearly readable, if you write in capitals. There are some people who write R and E a bit similarly when they're writing lowercase, and sometimes the letter D can be mistaken as CL. So problems like these can arise. Now another situation that can arise is when you have to write a proper noun as the answer, because you have to capitalize the first letter of a proper noun, which can be easily forgotten if you're writing all lowercase. But if you're writing all capitals, this would not be an issue. However, if you're sure that you're writing clearly in lowercase and everything is legible and there are no grammatical mistakes like the one I just mentioned, then you'd be good to go. Now, as far as my writing bands are concerned, well, I'd like to cover this topic in the next video. My writing score was very unexpected. I even got the revaluation done, and even the result of that was very unexpected. But I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that I took the test in a different city. I'll dive deeper into this in the next video, so stick around, stay inspired, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye-bye.